So, if you didn't see it yet, we just did our review on Kevin Sorbo and Sean Hannity's Let There Be Light.
If I look tired, it's because it took me 36 hours to get YouTube to accept it.
So go check it out at this link.
I worked really hard on it. Please go watch it.
It's funny.
It's very funny. We have one of my favorite bits we've ever done. It involves meatballs. Do I have a thing? I got a little hair. Thank you. Thank you. I'll just put that.
Enjoy the show.
La 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 la. Here we go. It's the Bible reloaded, the logic explosion, like Jesus and Moses, but it's Hugo and Jake. The Bible is jaded, and most of it taken, so get educated with Hugo and Jake. Pull up a new and stop what you're doing. It's Bible reloaded time. They call it debated, the theorists will hate it, like Dawkins and Taken, but it's Hugo and Jake. So I'm with the show then, it's not candy coated, it's the Bible reloaded with Hugo and Jake. With Hugo and Jake.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hugo.
I'm reading.
And this is Hugo and Jake. Welcome back to the Atheist Bible Study. Today we're continuing our study of Daniel, and we are on the 5th chapter.
I'm on the
Daniel.
6th now, though.
Oh, well, we gotta go back. The audience.
All right.
So today we're beginning in the 5th chapter.
What happened last time?
Oh, what happened?
We ate some grass. Crawled around the ground eating grass. King Nebuchadnezzar eating some grass. You shouldn't do that. Bad for your teeth, bad for your gut. Don't eat grass.
Next, we're gonna find out what happens to his successor.
Belshazzar?
Yeah.
Yay.
King Belshazzar gave a great banquet for 1,000 of his nobles and drank wine with them. While Belshazzar was drinking his wine, he gave orders to bring in gold and silver goblets that Nebuchadnezzar, his father, had taken from the temple in Jerusalem. As we mentioned in the previous episode at the end, historically speaking, there's no indication that Belshazzar and Nebuchadnezzar were actually familiarly related. That's an addition of some Jewish scholar, whoever wrote this chapter of the Bible.
Yeah, in here they do a superscript A, although I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that they might have done that, the NIV editors here, specifically because of that, where they say superscript A on father, ancestor, or predecessor, but I don't think father roughly translates to ancestor or predecessor, so that's an interesting... Yeah.
The goblets, by the way, which he's going to be drinking wine out of, were ceremonial in nature. They were supposed to be used in the Temple of Jerusalem for religious practices.
So this is bad.
Yeah. So they brought in the gold goblets that had been taken from the temple of God in Jerusalem, and the king and his nobles, his wives, his concubines, they drank from them. As they drank the wine, they praised the gods of gold and silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone.
The gods of those elements?
They're just... Instead of actually naming their specific polytheistic god, they're just saying gods of stone. Because unlike, our God, which resides in an Ark of the Covenant covered
Made
in
of
gold.
But he's in it. Okay, he's not of it. So wait, I would like to know if, and I believe this is just them mocking their gods and polytheism in general, but they have gods of gold and silver, then bronze, iron, wood, and stone? Just individually? That would be interesting. Yeah. Like Pokemon.
Suddenly, the fingers of a human hand appeared. Just the fingers, though, no middle part. Appeared and wrote on the plaster of the wall. Near the lampstand in his royal palace, the king watched the hand as it wrote. His face turned pale, and he was so frightened that his legs became weak and his knees were knocking.
Yeah, I'd flip out too. I would be very concerned if I started hallucinating fingers drawing on my walls. I feel like, and this is just me, maybe I'd sniff the wine a little bit better next time. Maybe it's off a bit. Maybe we're hallucinating.
The copper's leaching into the wine in this goblet. I see why these were ceremonial. And
we're drinking mercury right now.
The king summoned the enchanters, astrologers, and diviners. Then he said, the wise men of Babylon, whoever reads this writing and tells me what it means will be clothed in purple and have a gold chain placed around his neck, and he will be made the third highest ruler in the kingdom. But purple being a dye, which we've mentioned before, having a high value because of its rarity.
I'm pretty sure this is where the saying, read the writing on the wall comes from, for the record. I'm pretty sure it is.
Do you think that's actually the case?
Yeah, I do.
Fact check, is that true?
I have no idea. Pretty sure though, because a lot of our idioms come from biblical
That makes sense.
texts. So.
Then all the king's wise men came in, but they could not read the writing or tell the king what it meant. So King Belshazzar became even more terrified, and his face grew more pale. His nobles were
It
baffled.
was in Spanish all along.
So then what happens is no one knows what to do. His either queen or queen mother, I'm assuming that means his mother, comes in, and it makes more sense for it to be his mother because she talks about when your father was king, there was this guy named David who was really wise. You should bring him in. Daniel, sorry. Daniel, you can probably bring him in. He'll know how to read this.
I was gonna say, before you mentioned it, does Daniel just show up again? Save the fucking day?
Daniel does show up, because this is Daniel.
Daniel's smoking in an alley. Nebuchadnezzar. Hadn't heard that name in years. Just one more job, you say? For her. Anything.
So here's that.
Yeah.
So Daniel was brought before the king, and the king said to him, "Are you Daniel, one of my exiles my father the king brought from Judah?"
Why does this read like a screenplay?
Hey, man.
Daniel walks in, guy asks, "Are you Daniel?" It's implied that he's walked in at that point. It's like texting me, "Hey." The hey is implied. You've broken the seal once you text me. Let's just get to the meat of the conversation here, right?
Fair enough.
Okay.
I have heard that the spirit of the gods is in you, and you have insight, intelligence, and outstanding wisdom. The wise men and enchanters were brought before me to read this writing and tell me what it means, but they could not explain it. Now I have heard that you are able to give interpretations, blah, 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 blah. Basically, he says, I've heard you can solve problems. Daniel gives the general spiel that everyone all the way back to Joseph gave.
Only God.
Only God can do it. I'll do what God says, but he'll tell me in my head or whatever.
I didn't even read that. I guessed.
Yeah. And he says, okay, so read what's on the wall. And this is what he says. Your Majesty, the Most High God gave your father Nebuchadnezzar sovereignty and greatness and glory and splendor. Because of the high position he gave him, all the nations and people of every language dreaded and feared him. Those the king wanted to put to death, he put to death. Those he wanted to spare, he spared. Those he wanted to promote, he promoted. And those he wanted to humble, he humbled. But when his heart became arrogant and hardened with pride, he was deposed from his royal throne and stripped of his glory. He was driven away from people and given the mind of an animal. He lived with the wild donkeys and ate grass with the ox. His body was drenched with the dew of heaven until he acknowledged that Most High God is sovereign over all the kingdoms on earth and sets over them anyone he wishes. We didn't mention this in the last episode, I think. If he had the mind of an animal, how did he become Christian, or Jewish in this case? And, you know what I mean? Are there Jewish animals?
Well, yeah, once you cut their necks and bleed them,
That makes sense.
then they become Jews.
That's a kosher joke, by the way.
Oh, yeah. You sprinkle that really rough salt on them.
This is the inscription that was written. Mean, tekel.
I think it's Mene.
Oh.
Mene? I think it's Mene.
Okay.
And now, Tekel and Parson, but I wanted to mention something before we get into the actual what these says these things mean. These are all inscriptions of different types of money, but specifically just what's the word I'm looking for? Where you track the origin of words. Not the taxonomy. Anyway, Mene can mean numbered or mina, a unit of money. Is Mene like a proto money? Because
Probably.
that's really interesting to me as a history nerd. I just kind of gets my loins tingly. It makes me feel good. Oh man, taxonomy? No. Anyway, the tekel can mean weight or shekel, and then Paris can mean divided or Persia or half a meal, half a shekel. Basically, $1, 50 cents, and then like less than that.
Yeah. So this is what Daniel says God means by these words. Mene, God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. And Paris, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then, at Belshazzar's command, Daniel was clothed in purple, a gold chain was placed around his neck, and he was proclaimed the third highest ruler in the kingdom.
Again, purple is very symbolic of royalty. Purple dyes and stuff like lavender. Hard to get a hold of, so they're very expensive. So regal in nature back in the day.
Yeah. That very night, Belshazzar, king of the Babylonians, was slain, and Darius the Mede took over the kingdom at the age of 62.
That was it was a weird anticlimax.
Yeah.
It was like when Kaiser Soze, but instead of limping, they just go, "It's Kaiser!" And then they fade to black.
We should direct movies. Anyway, Daniel in the Lion's Den is next. There's one you've heard of. Right?
It's happening.
It pleased Darius to appoint 120 satraps to rule throughout the kingdom, with 3 administrators over them, one whom was Daniel. The satraps were made accountable to them so that the kings might not suffer loss. Now Daniel was so distinguished himself among the administrators and the satraps by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. At this, the administrators and the satraps tried to find grounds for charges against Daniel in his conduct of government affairs, but they were unable to do so.
Governmental political subterfuge. It's like King of Cards or whatever. House of Cards.
I was gonna say
I mixed up King of Queens and House of Cards, and now I want Paul Blart.
Fuck it. That's how they explain it in the new season. They just get rid of Kevin Spacey, bring in Kevin. What the fuck is his fucking
Kevin
name?
Blart.
Yeah.
Kevin James.
They could find no corruption in him because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent.
Wait. No one's like, you laid in your house and ate shit for a year.
That was Ezekiel.
Was it?
Yes, that was Ezekiel. This is Daniel.
What's Daniel do?
Daniel hangs out with lions, interprets dreams.
Oh, I'm thinking I got mixed up because the blazing furnace, and so there was 2 fire things. Oh. So this guy just sees aliens.
Yeah.
Never mind.
We will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God. Really? Not? Okay, whatever. So these administrators and satraps went as a group to the king and said, "May King Darius live forever." The royal administrators, prefects, satraps, and advisors, governors, have all agreed that the king should issue an edict and enforce the decree that anyone who prays to any god or human being during the next 30 days, except to you, your majesty, shall be thrown into lion's den.
and then King Darius just says, "You and me, we come from different worlds."
It's a
Darius Rucker?
Yeah, Hootie. That's a Hootie joke.
No.
Nope. Hootie and the Blowfish.
I'm
gonna continue.
I'm a pretty okay Darius Rucker mumble sing.
So is Darius Rucker.
I knew a guy who was his uncle was the drummer.
Oh, that's
Hootie and the Blowfish. His uncle was one of several Blowfish.
Congratulations to him on employment and no other accomplishments. Now, your majesty, issue the decree and put it in writing so it cannot be altered in accordance with the law of the Medes and the Persians, who cannot be repealed. So King Darius put the decree in writing.
How was he being forced here? Was this a supermajority situation?
They were just, all his advisors were like, "We think this is a good idea." And he's like, "Yeah, that is a good idea."
Lion's Den stuff?
Yeah. It was very hot at the time. Lion's dens. All the kings were using them.
Oh, hot like trendy.
Yeah.
Not hot like warm. I was like, why would it's summertime. Fucking lion's dens are in. That didn't track for me. So
you don't want to use it. You always want to wait to use your lion's dens until after Labor Day.
That's right, because then it's, that's just not cool.
Now when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened towards Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed. giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before.
Muslims do it more, so I mean, like, winners.
Then these men went as a group and found Daniel praying and asked God for help. So they went to the king and spoke to him about his royal decree. Did you not publish a decree that during the next 30 days anyone who prays to a god or human except for you, your majesty, would be thrown into a lion's den? The king answered, the decree stands, in accordance with the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed.
What's going to happen next on our next episode of Daniel and the Lions? He's going to get eaten. Or will he?
Then they said to the king, Daniel, who is one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, your majesty, or to the decree you put into writing. He still prays 3 times a day. When the king heard this, he was greatly distressed. He was so determined to rescue Daniel and make every effort until sundown to save
Just
him.
be like, nah, I'm the king.
Yeah, he's the
You're
king.
a king.
You're a king.
You just get to.
This is pre-Magna Carta. You're fine.
Yeah, this is a while.
Then the men went as a group to King Darius and said to him, remember, your majesty, that according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, no decree or edict that the king issues can be changed. That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
He could literally just be like, yeah, but it does, though.
It does, though, because I said so, because I'm the king.
Darius is a little bitch.
Yeah. He's new. His predecessor just died in 1 sentence, so maybe he's got to treading lightly.
Come on, Hootie.
So the king gave an order, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the lion's den. The king said to Daniel, may your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you. A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the rings of his nobles. So they just have, like, a lion cave they kept lions in, and then they, like, roll this.
Yeah,
how are they?
Where you keep them.
How are these lions surviving?
On Daniel's.
But, like, is there fresh water in there? Did they find a cave with a freshwater stream in it to keep the lions?
Who knows?
I don't think lions would be okay being in, like...
Maybe they're very confused and like, wow, these lions, they just keep falling over and dying. I don't know, we get new lions, I guess. And they're just asphyxiating.
Also, almost complete darkness, I'd imagine, in a sealed-off cave.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of problems with this. Maybe there's a sunroof. Is there a sunroof? Is that how he gets out? No, it's probably God.
The way you said that was almost like you forgot God was a presence in the story until you're like, oh yeah, that thing that always happens, that's probably gonna happen.
I mean, I've heard this story before.
Yeah. Then the king returned to his palace and spent the night without eating and without any entertainment being brought to him, and he could not sleep. Poor Darius. He
just went home and got all sad.
Yeah.
No, I'm not in the mood for a blowjob.
My friend died.
Probably.
At the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. Gotta see this shit. Why was he, like, in a hurry to go and see his friend's corpse? When he came near the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice, Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve, continually been able to rescue you from the lions? Daniel answered, may the king live forever! Also, it's dark as fuck, please get me out. My God sent his angel and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty. Also, have you been feeding them? They look, bony.
They're dead.
They're bones.
They're just dead.
They're bones. Don't come in here.
They're bones, lions.
This is not so much a lion's den as it is a bone den.
Welcome to the Bone Den. It's the hottest new club.
Nice. The king was overjoyed and gave orders to lift Daniel out of the den. And when Daniel lifted from the den, no wounds were found on him because he had trusted in his God.
Or the lions just didn't want him.
At the king's command, the men who had falsely accused Daniel were brought in and thrown into the lion's den, along with their wives and children.
Whoa! Wozers! Whoa!
I didn't remember this part of the story.
I forgot too. Maybe VeggieTales didn't tell me everything about this one.
And before they reached the floor of the den, the lions overpowered them and crushed their bones.
No. Crushed all their bones.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
Every bone. Ear bones, crushed. Toe bones, crushed. That's before they died.
Yep.
Your bones get crushed prior to death by lions who are very precise.
Then King Darius wrote to all the nations and people of every language in the earth.
In all the earth?
Mandarin.
We know this because the Inuits have tablets from Darius. The Eskimos, we're not supposed to call them Eskimos, do you know that?
Inuit?
Eskimo means like they eat garbage or something.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like they eat like just nasty stuff.
Oh.
I forget what it's called, so you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say Inuit.
Yeah.
Don't be racist, guys. Even to people that don't exist. Like Eskimos. I'm garbage.
So this was the decree. For he is the living God. He endures forever. His kingdoms will not be just blah, 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 blah. God's God, guys.
All right.
So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian. So that's the end of this episode. Next episode, we're going to finish Daniel.
Yep.
Then we're like...
Hosea, right?
Yeah.
And we're very close.
Yes.
Well, we said summertime, late spring. Going to be real close to the New Testament, so we're on pace.
Yeah. So you can always follow us on Twitter at PapaBirdJake.
You can follow Hugo Reloaded. He'll be inactive though. He'll be taking a nap.
You can always follow us on Twitch at ActualJake.
You can follow Hugo at Hugo Reloaded.
Yep. And...
Well, it's twitch.tv/ActualJake Hugo Reloaded. We're still new at this.
Yeah. If you want to help support the channel, we have a Patreon, and we also have a P.O. Box where you can send us movies or whatever.
Indeedly do.
So?
Should be getting your Patreon stuff pretty soon here.
Oh, cool.
Sending them out soon.
So until next time, Hugo.
I have one of those weird things where it's not quite a burp. Just like your esophagus, like, defects from your body. Thank you.